As a young adult, I still struggled socially despite having a retail job, despite having a pretty decent college experience, and having, I don't want to say girlfriends, but despite going on a few dates with a couple girls, still, I did not know how to really function properly socially. In part two, I said that as a teenager, I often made fun of stuff. I'd be overly sarcastic and more stuff along the lines of that. When I was going into my 20s, I became a lot more bitter. I became a lot more, I don't want to say sarcastic, but I became a lot more, we'll say, for lack of a better term, I don't want to say grumpy because it just sounds silly. A lot more negative, a lot more toxic. I would complain more instead of make fun of stuff. Now, is complaining entertaining? It can be. Just look up look at the legendary comedian George Carlin. He made his whole final third of his career was focused around him bitching and complaining about about how stupid our culture has become. And it was almost like he was making fun of it, but being really belligerently angry about it too, to where it was over the top, or to where you knew he was joking. With me, you didn't know if I was joking or not. In my first year of college, I took my first retail job as a cashier, and that helped me a lot socially, but it still wasn't enough. I still didn't feel normal. I still felt like I was obligated to be social. I wasn't doing it because I was having fun. I was doing it because I was obligated to do it. And I remember my first few months working at that store, I remember getting a lot of complaints from patrons about me losing my temper, and so on and so forth. I got complaints from coworkers about me losing my temper. I remember there was this one girl that I wanted to hook up with there, and she complained to me about me being overbearing and creepy, and so on and so forth. But as time moved on, I began to become kind of a performer when I was ringing people up at the front counter. I remember I tried to juggle stuff or make jokes about the stuff they were buying. You know what I mean? And not like abrasive, like let's cut this person down jokes, but almost like, if someone was buying ice cream, I'd be like, alright, when did they break up with you? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And just like, I was able to form my own sense of humor, and that's where I began to develop my wit. But it still needed to be perfected. It still needed to be molded in a way to where I could feel comfortable presenting it, and I wasn't there yet. Another thing that happened in my first year of college was I met my very first, we'll say, girl buddy. This is a girl who I really liked, and I remember she was in my class and I didn't know it. I was waiting a really long time in between classes, and I didn't like it. So I saw this one girl just sitting by herself alone. I'm like, okay, I need to make my approach here. So after checking her out for like 3 minutes, really bad, I walked up to her and I said, man, you know what I hate about this? I hate that I have to wait an hour for my next class. This sucks. And I said, oh, what about you? What do you do? Are you waiting an hour for your class too or something? And so on and so forth. But and even the early goings of our friendship, I was really attentive, and it got too much. It became too much. I was crowding her, and she called me out on it. She's like, look, you have to quit, hanging around me because I'm getting creeped out. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, I'll back off. And and I did. And she eventually forgave me, and now we're pretty good buddies. And then I transferred from my junior college to an actual college. And this was when I turned 21, so I was able to drink. And I realized really quickly that alcohol for me was definitely liquid courage. If I had a few drinks in my system, I could pretty much be the social guy that I've always wanted to be. I could be that life in the party, life of the party. I was able to approach girls within 3 to 10 seconds of approaching them. I was able to flirt. I was able to make out with girls. I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do. I was able to look people in the eye. I was able to be normal with people. And I grew so dependent on it that I actually had to drink before going to classes, because it was a crowded campus, and since I didn't really feel comfortable in large crowds yet, I needed probably a good 2 drinks in my system before heading out to my classes. I didn't get like plastered drunk, but just like, maybe, okay, back then I weighed about 185, so I would have maybe like 4 drinks, okay? So, is that enough to get you completely wasted? Not really, especially if you're drinking every day. But is that enough to get you a decent buzz going? Absolutely. Is it enough to impair your judgment? Definitely. But it was enough for me to focus in class, as well as not suffer from a nervous breakdown in class and stuff like that. Because this is the first time I was in classes of more than 200 people and so on and so forth. So it took me a long time for me to get used to it. And I had to rely on alcohol to do it, which was a very bad thing. I wish I had never done it. I wish I'd been able to do what I did after my first few years of college. So it was during the last year of college for me, or my alleged last year. I mean, of course I would go back, and now I'm struggling to finish for real. And my dad says that he has cancer, and I'm like, oh boy, this sucks. And since he wasn't really leading a healthy lifestyle, I said to myself, okay, look, I'm giving him 2 years. I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but I don't care, because I was just calling it like I was seeing it, and I still call it like I see it to this day. And if someone doesn't lead a healthy lifestyle, where they're active, where they can balance work, relationships, and alone time, and so on and so forth, then yeah, if you get a terminal disease and you're a workaholic, and you're not paying attention to your diet and your exercise and stuff like that, yeah, it's over, and it's gonna be over really quickly. And I knew this with my dad because he was a workaholic who ate junk food. He didn't work out, he didn't exercise, he didn't run like I did, he didn't do any of that stuff. No, he didn't do any of that. So I knew that he had very little time. And I said to myself, okay, he's probably worried that I'm gonna just die alone. I'm gonna be forever alone. He's probably worried that I was gay, because I never told him about girlfriends. I never told him about the girl that I hooked up with. I mean, during my last couple years of college, he would keep saying, he'd keep asking, yeah, have you hooked up with any chicks yet? I mean, because it's a big college, and I see what's going on in the media with, these girls going, these college girls just doing whatever the hell they want. I'm pretty sure it's easy to get some. You know what I mean? I'm using my language in place of his. And I would say, well, I'm trying to, do good in class for you. And of course I didn't do good in class because I was just not motivated at the time. My lack of social skills kind of made me depressed for a long time. And I wasn't able to get much done at all. I remember being very unproductive, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so he gets cancer, and I said to myself, okay, look, I need to turn the lights on because it is pretty dark in here. There we go. Turn the lights on, put the blinds down, and there we go. A lot more light. Okay. Woo, sorry about that. Alright. And get some water because I'm thirsty. Okay. Say to myself, I need to prove to my father that I can carry on his genes, because that has always been a concern of mine, because I always had an evolutionary style of thinking where humans are kind of designed to pass on their genes. That's our nature, you know what I mean? And so I said to myself, okay, I need to show my father that that I am boyfriend material, that I'm not gonna, that I'm not gonna just die alone, that I'm not gay, so I gotta learn how to talk to women. And this is what really turned things around for me socially. I started developing an open mind. I used to be against, drug use and all that good stuff. And I used to pretty much be a, raging hipster. And I used to not like stuff. And now I'm like, after hearing about my dad getting cancer, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta open my mind a little bit and just realize that people do things to make themselves happy either way. It doesn't matter what you say about it, and so on and so forth. And when I opened my mind a little bit and I stopped, making fun of everything and everybody as a defense mechanism, I actually became a lot more popular amongst my friends, and so on and so forth. I still had trouble talking to girls, but that would all change when I bought this lovely little gem right here. This is a good book. You should get it, because it doesn't teach you how to talk to women, but it just focuses on a guy who has trouble talking to women and has trouble hooking up with girls that he wants to hook up with, and so he decides to see what's out there with dating coaches and stuff. And he drops money on this one dating coach, and he teaches him a bunch of stuff, and then he's like, oh, well, there's other people too who do this. Okay, and he learns from pretty much everybody in the industry, okay, and then he becomes a teacher himself by kind of combining everything and borrowing freely from all the stuff that he learned. And there's a lot to learn in that book, and I learned a lot of great stuff. And it was about this time where my dad was just really struggling with cancer. I mean, he thought he beat it by doing chemo and radiation therapy, but he didn't, and I didn't want to tell him that, but he was denying it at the same time. And I didn't want to straight up tell him, hey Dad, you're getting skinnier and skinnier by the day, my man. It's, I don't know what we can do, but we have to do something cool, because I don't think you're going to be around for too long. I didn't want to say that to him. I don't think anybody wants to say that to a cancer patient, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And it was about this time where I was applying the stuff I was learning in that book. I was ignoring getting a job, because despite my dad telling me that, oh, you need to get a good job now that you have some college education behind you, and I just want you to get a good job, that's all. I said, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? He wants me to go his route at a young age. But I know the truth. I know that he probably wants me to try and find a girlfriend. And it was a combination of, me thinking about what he really wanted and what I actually wanted. I combined those two trains of thought to go out pretty much whenever I had nights off from work. I would go out and try and meet people. And I remember I went out with probably a good like 4 girls while my dad had cancer, and I could tell that he was reassured when I brought these girls home to him. Now, did I progress in my relationships with these girls? Not really. I just kind of asked them out, and we would just kind of go out, and it would just kind of fizzle out from there because I didn't know how to continue a relationship. I didn't know how to be physical yet, and that would take a long time for me to do with girls. But I was able to finally start developing social skills. And then my dad dies, and I'm pretty much left with nothing. And I said, okay, I want to move back in with my mom, so I did. And I met one of her coworkers who, he was really cool, he was into the same stuff I'm into, and I said to myself, okay, I need to do this for my dad. I need to do this in my dad's memory to try and expand, to try and really get a grasp on developing social skills. Because, yeah, I was getting more and more comfortable in public talking to people and doing it sober, but I still needed alcohol in my system. I still felt like I needed to drink. I still felt like I needed liquid courage. You know what I mean? And so I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna go out during the day, because my dad left a trust. I didn't know that, but he left a trust for me to live off of for about a year. And I said to myself, okay, I'm going to take advantage of all this time off I can get from having a job. If I don't need a job, then I may as well, go out every day and try to socialize and try to really develop my social skills. So I did that, and it was extremely painful. This is what I call the Great Socialization of 2007. Because during most of the year 2007, what I would do is I would wake up in the afternoon or something, and go to either a strip mall or go to an actual mall or whatever. I would just go to random public places with all this, with all this trust money that my dad gave me, and I would just walk around and talk to people. I would just walk around and talk to mostly the clerks who worked at all the stores and the malls and stuff, and I would just have random conversations with them. Oh, how's it going? You look like you want to go home. You look like you don't want to be here, do you? And girl would be like, it was mostly girls, obviously, because that was that's kind of my goal, was to be better. That was my goal, was to be better with women. I mean, yeah, it's a superficial, shallow goal, but it's a goal nonetheless. And I would just develop my social skills slowly, until I was able to finally become comfortable in social situations. Now, are there times where I make mistakes and I go back to my old ways? Yeah, there are. There really are times where I do that. But instead of defending them belligerently like I used to, like I used to be like, oh, well, that's just who I am, so, you can F off. Instead of doing that, I say, okay, what did I do wrong, and what can I do to correct it? And I say to them, whoever I offend or whoever I creep out, I'll just be like, be honest with me, because there's a lot more people I can hang out with, a lot more people I can meet, so whatever you say, I'm just gonna accept it and hopefully improve upon it, and maybe leave you alone for a little while. You know what I mean? I got to learn social dynamics in a much easier fashion than just having that group of people who are all uncomfortable with each other. Because I used to have a group of people like that, and trust me, it was as fun as it was also really lame. So it was also like not really lame, but it was more like everyone didn't really feel 100% comfortable with each other. So I don't really have a group like that anymore. Now, with me and my buddies, when we hang out, it's all cool. You know what I mean? Like we all just laugh at stuff, and we're all very comfortable with each other. You know what I mean? So, and I would have never gotten to that point if I didn't take that time to develop my social skills from pretty much the years 2005 to 2007. I would have never gotten there if I didn't open my mind up and explore new boundaries and stuff. So that does it for the introduction parts of the Great Socialization of 2012, which is going to be a video series where I kind of detail what I've learned over the years with socializing. Hopefully I can help some people out who are, you know, either painfully shy, or if they have social anxiety or something like that, you know, because that's kind of what my goal is for this video series. It's going to be two little parts to this. It's going to be, I'm gonna give out lessons where you go out and actually do stuff, and I'll give out lessons where you actually have to think about stuff, like beliefs you should be developing and everything like that. So there we go. Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, okay. There's gonna be techniques, and then there's gonna be theory. Okay, because what a lot of people say when it comes to developing social skills, they say, oh, it's from the inside out, so you have to learn all the theory before you can even put it into practice and use techniques. And I say, you know what? Why not just learn some theory, learn a technique, learn some theory, learn a technique. That's what I'm gonna do. So, all right. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. So, starting part 4, I'm going to start. I don't want to say give advice, but I guess it is kind of like giving advice. So yeah, stay tuned for that. This is the Big Jew telling you to keep being awesome. Peace.